Hi guys, welcome to Casey's Contemplation. So first off, let me just say it is so hard being a Christian. And I'm not just talking about trying to better ourselves every day, but the fact that we get insulted so much for our faith, and sometimes it just gets so exhausting. So today I'm going to share how this summer I was spiritually and mentally drained from how hard it is being a Christian and how God lifted me out of this and showed me His grace. I'm sure most of you can relate to this video because if you take ownership of your faith, you will be insulted for it. In fact, Jesus warns us in Matthew 10:22, it says, "You will be hated by all because of my name, but whoever endures to the end will be saved." And so Jesus warned us that if we want to follow Him, it is not going to be an easy life. We will be hated and insulted by so many people. But yet, if we do follow Him, He will bless us, and the love that we will receive just by knowing God is worth so much more than what this world can offer. So here I am in the middle of summer with all of this weight on my shoulders. I just felt so empty and drained because of people's insults towards me and other comments that were made towards me just from taking ownership of my faith. I was mad at them, I was mad at myself, I was mad at God. I was just mad because I had so much built up inside of me, I just needed to let it all out. And here it is pouring outside and it's storming, and for me, I love storms because I can just see God's power in it, and I was like, you know what, let's just go outside. So I grabbed my hoodie and sweatpants and my boots, and I just ran outside and just kept running until I got to a creek, and it was like 3 feet high, and I was like, you know what, let's just jump over it and try to get to the other side. Of course I fall and slip, but besides that, I finally got across this creek. I saw this beautiful sunset in front of me, and I just stood in awe because of how beautiful it was. It was just like I was in the sky, just immersed in God's beauty. And at that moment, I just felt that God had His arms around me and that He knew everything that I was thinking. So I start crying and telling God everything that was on my mind. From just praising Him to telling Him how unworthy I was to be His. I told Him how it just does not make sense that the people that are making fun of me for praying about everything and making these videos and being too religious are the people who are at church every Sunday. Like, how does that make sense? You're either a follower of God or you're not. Don't be stuck in the middle being lukewarm, because being lukewarm isn't enough. In fact, in Revelation 3:16, it says, so if you're lukewarm right now, know that I am praying for you, and I really hope that you choose God. Okay, I'm sorry, my rant is over. I continue to complain to God about how I'm trying to do His will and I'm trying to do all of this work for Him, but all I get in return is all of this crap. I questioned why living this Christian life had to be so hard, and if He could just make it a little bit easier. So 2 days later, I still feel all alone and down, but I got invited to go to this adoration thing called Encounter, led by Adam Bitter. Once I got there, their youth minister came up and he started giving a speech. And he started talking about how he didn't know what he was gonna talk about tonight, but he really felt the Holy Spirit leading him to talk about how hard it is to live a Christian life. I'm thinking, oh yeah, this is gonna be good, right? And he starts talking about how we signed up for this life and how God didn't promise us an easy life full of pleasure and popularity. And then he opened his Bible up to Jeremiah 12, and he started talking about how Jeremiah was doing all of his work for God, but yet he got rejected everywhere he went. And so Jeremiah started complaining to God, saying, God, I'm doing all this work for you. Why is no one listening to me? Why do I feel like this when all of these people who don't have a faith are living such good lives? And so Jeremiah is just complaining to God. And then God answered him, but He didn't say the response that Jeremiah was looking for. He didn't say, oh, I'm so sorry, Jeremiah, let me make your life a little easier. No, He says in Jeremiah 12:5, He says, if running against men has wearied you, how will you race against horses?
Rewind to the time when we were so close. Got me longing for yesterday.
So the speaker is just explaining how God is not going to give us an easy life. That if we truly want to follow His will for us, we have to be willing to run with the horses. We have to be willing to take these insults and comments from people and just offer them up to God and rely on God to give us the strength to get past them. This was such a huge eye-opener for me because here I am complaining about how people are making fun of me for how serious I am about my faith when this is nothing compared to what I will have to encounter in my future. I'm going through the exact same thing Jeremiah went through. So God is basically asking me, Casey, are you willing to take these insults from people? Are you willing to not only run with the men, but to run with the horses when they come your way?
Trying to fall for you, but then they put me on blast. It's like I try to speak my mind because I know that I'm his, and yet I try to speak my mind. But
so when I get insulted for my faith, I just need to offer it up to God and let Him take care of it, and just to continue to spread God's love and the gospel. So I'm sitting in adoration, reflecting all of this, and I'm just in awe and wonder of how God answered my prayer and how He just knew exactly what to tell me in order to take everything off my shoulders. And after sitting there a little bit, I hear this little voice from God, and it says, "So are you ready?" And I'm like, yes, I'm ready. Like, come on, Lord, like, bring it. Like, I'm ready to just get insulted. Like, yes, let's go. So you all know what happens next, right? I get tested. And 3 days later, I'm in this public area with all these people, and we're just talking, and then someone snaps on me about my career choice and how I'm going nowhere with it. And for a split second, I was like, oh my gosh, like, that really hurt me. But then I remembered Jeremiah 12, and I was like, Casey, this is your test, like, you gotta pass. And so I'm like, okay, Casey, this is your horse. You gotta be able to run with the horses. So I was able to offer that insult up to God, which means I passed the test. So just when I think God's done answering my prayer for that particular message, He sends 2 more. So here I am at church, and the gospel was Matthew 5:13-16, which is the one about how He says, you are the salt of the earth, and how you have to season the world, and how you are the light of the world, and how we must shine for others.
I wanna magnify your light. I wanna reflect the sun, cut like precious diamonds.
So the priest starts to explain this gospel message, and he tells us how when people put salt on their food, they don't focus on the salt, but they focus on the flavor that the salt gives the food. And people don't look directly at the light, but they look at everything that they can see because of the light. He then related it to how people view us. So it doesn't matter what people think of us, because in the long run, they're not going to remember what they said to us or how they insulted us that day. They're going to remember the impact you had on them and that little bit of light you shined on them that day. And then I go to Mass a couple days later, and the reading 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 7-15 came up. And it basically says how we will be persecuted and struck down, but not destroyed. And it says, for we who live are constantly being given up to death for the sake of Jesus Christ, so that the life of Jesus may be manifested in our mortal flesh. So we will constantly be given up to death for Jesus Christ's sake, but we do this because it brings God glory. In fact, in Matthew chapter 5, verse 11-12, it says, blessed are you when they insult you and persecute you and utter every kind of evil against you, falsely because of me. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward will be great in heaven. Thus, they persecuted the prophets who were before you. So every time someone insults you for Jesus' sake, don't be hurt or upset about it, but rejoice and be glad, because God is going to bless you so much for it because you're bringing Him glory. From this God Night of mine, I hope you guys are inspired to reach out to God and ask for His grace the next time you feel drained or empty. I also hope you know that you are not alone, that God is with you, and that I feel ya. And yeah, living a Christian life is hard, but it is more than worth it. And next time you're insulted for Jesus' name, rejoice, because God will bless you. Thank you guys for watching.